We're going to get to the Samaritan woman later on, right? But living water, hopefully, is a very familiar term, okay, living water. But what's interesting here is that when Jeremiah speaks about it, it says they have forsaken the fountain of living water. And hopefully you're all wondering, well, when did they do that? When did they reject this living water? I don't remember a specific period in time when God said, here you go, here's your living water. And they turn away and they say, we don't want living water. We don't want that. There is no instance, okay, if you're thinking specifically and tangibly about water. Okay? And, but a clue is given here, because they don't just reject the fountain of living water. What? The Lord, right? It says, even the Lord. And so Jeremiah is associating, once again, just like at the very beginning, with the Spirit of the Lord hovering over the water. Okay? Jeremiah is saying that when you reject this fountain of living water, you're also rejecting the Lord. You're rejecting God. Let's go on. Joel 3, verse 18. And in that day the mountains will drip with sweet wine. That's the day I'm looking for. That'll be a good day. Okay. And the hills will flow with milk, and all the brooks of Judah will flow with water. And a spring will go out from the house of the Lord to water the valley of Shittim. Very careful the way I pronounce that last word. I tried to find a good way, and that's what I've come up with. Because, you know, you walk through the valley of death. Well, there's another valley that you don't want to walk through. Okay. So it says, the water comes, right? A spring will go out from the house of the Lord. Where's the house of the Lord? The temple. A spring is going to come from the temple. That's kind of strange. What do you mean? What spring comes from the temple?
Well, there was part of the temple where water flowed under.
There was. And we're going to get to that. Good for you. You get 2 points. Okay. So there is going to be a spring that comes out from the house of the Lord, and it waters this valley. And this is the valley. It's close to the Kidron Valley, and it's close to Jerusalem. Wherever the Kidron Valley is, I don't know how close to Jerusalem, but that's the big valley close to Jerusalem. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, Ezekiel. This is the famous passage, and I know you all know this, and I've put a heck of a lot in there because I've got 2 big paragraphs. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. First of all, Ezekiel, he's the one given this. He's a prophet, right? A prophet of God, and he's given a vision. And later on, John, the beloved disciple, he's given the same vision. And so if you read the book of Revelation, you'll notice that so many things are exactly the same as in the book of Ezekiel. Okay? Both books have the same vision. The book of Ezekiel, because it was so weird and challenging to understand, because it had so many images and you know, the beasts and all the weird stuff, right? Just like in the book of Revelation, people couldn't understand it and didn't know what it meant. That was the book that was forbidden for young people to read, so that they wouldn't misinterpret it. You had to be of a certain age, and don't quote me on this, but in your 30s, before you were allowed to read that book as a Jewish male. Right? Interesting. Anyway, Ezekiel 47. Then he brought me back to the door of the house, and behold, water was flowing from under the threshold of the house toward the east, for the house faced east, and the water was flowing down from under, from the right side of the house, from south of the altar. Which house is this? The temple, the house of the Lord, okay, which is always facing east. Okay. He brought me out by way of the north gate and led me around on the outside to the outer gate by way of the gate that faces east. And behold, water was trickling from the south side. When the man went out toward the east with a line in his hand, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he led me through the water reaching my ankles. Again he measured 1,000 and led me through the water reaching the knees. Again he measured 1,000 and led me through the water reaching the loins. Again he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not ford, for the water had risen, enough water to swim in, a river that could not be forded. He said to me, Son of man, have you seen this? Then he brought me back to the bank of the river. That's a huge river. You can't even walk through it, you have to swim. And it's all coming from the heart of the temple, the altar, right? It's an interesting image. Did this ever physically happen? No? Right? The answer is no. Okay, it's an image, a spiritual image of something else. And it never ever made sense in the entire Old Testament. To this day, people have very little idea of what that means when they do not take the New Testament into account. Okay, scholars struggle with it. It's just like the sacrifice of Isaac. Remember when Abraham was told to take his firstborn, his only beloved son, and offer him? That doesn't make sense. There's so many conflicting reports as to what exactly that meant and why was that important, right? And it doesn't make sense until you get to the New Testament, right? Same with this passage. Let's go on with the second paragraph, though. Now when I had returned, behold, on the bank of the river there were very many trees, on the one side and on the other. Then he said to me, these waters go out toward the eastern region and go down into the Arabah, and they go down toward the sea, being made to flow into the sea, and the waters of the sea become fresh. Okay, so salt water is turned to fresh water. Why is that important? Because you can drink the fresh water. That's good. It will come about that every living creature which swarms in every place where the river goes will live. You see, it brings life. And there will be very many fish, for these waters go there and the others become fresh. So everything will live where the river goes. And it will come about that fishermen will stand beside it. Oh, so cool. Fishermen are associated with this river that is poured out from the temple. I wonder why. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. Okay, but just keep that in your head and try to figure out who the fishermen might be. Okay. Oh, come on, they'll figure it out. Okay. From En-gedi to En-glaim, I can't pronounce these right. There will be a place for the spreading of nets. Their fish will be according to their kinds, like the fish of the great sea, very many. But its swamps and marshes will not become fresh. They will be left for salt. Salt's important too. Okay. By the river on its bank, on one side and on the other, will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, and their fruit will not fail. They will bear every month, because their water... Okay, their water flows from the sanctuary, and their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for healing. Okay. So, if the leaves do not wither and the fruit does not fail, they bear fruit every month. How many months? 12. Okay. Every month, without fail, the trees produce fruit, right? And the leaves are used for healing. Okay. If you keep those images in your mind, we're gonna see the connection when we get to the book of Revelation. Okay. But for now, I think it's significant to notice that this river is a source of life, can turn salt water into fresh water, has that power. So where there is death, right? If you try to drink salt water, you're gonna die. I think. I don't know. Is that true? I think so. Okay. So you're gonna die. But here, the miracle is that wherever this river goes, whatever it touches, it turns that water into fresh water, and you can live. Right? It's a source of life. And fishermen will stand by this water. And what else? Well, that's what we need to know. And the water flows from the sanctuary. Right? The sanctuary. Now, let's get to the Samaritan woman, because this is the passage that's most familiar to you, I think. And this is where Jesus comes along. And remember, he sent off his apostles. You guys go down to the village, the town, and get something to eat. I'm going to sit here and wait for you to come back. And I'm going to stay here at this well. And it's Jacob's well. Do you remember Jacob? What was his name changed to? Israel. Right? He becomes the father of 12 sons. He also has a daughter that no one talks about. I think that's a shame. But he's got 12 sons, and those 12 sons become the 12 tribes of Israel. So that's the origin of the entire Israelite nation. And so at that same well where he met his wife, where he actually picked her up, Because that's what people do, right? You go to the place where there's a lot of things to drink to meet potential spouses. That's what you do. Okay. Okay, so here's Jesus. He goes out and it says, and I'll preface this because I condensed it. He's the one that encounters her first, and he speaks to her first. Woman, give me a drink, right? He speaks Neanderthal. I don't know. I don't know why. Woman, give me a drink. Okay, or is that Tarzan? I don't know. But the woman responds very nicely, right? And she says, okay, therefore the Samaritan woman said to him, how is it that you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink, since I am a Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Do you remember who the Samaritans were? Okay. Remember that big civil war, right? The north against the south when the kingdom divided after Solomon, right? The Jews kept the Judah. Let's put it this way. Judah was the southern two kingdoms, Judah and Benjamin, and they named their city Judah. And the capital of the city, the capital of their kingdom was Jerusalem. So they had the temple. They had the presence of God in Judah. And that's where Judaism, or the Jews, originated from, that time of history. The northern kingdom had the 10 tribes, and they continued to call themselves Israel, because 10 out of 12 is still pretty darn good, right? And so they called themselves Israel. And they had no capital city, because the capital city's down there in Jerusalem. What do? We make up our own capital city. Let's call it Samaria. Okay? And that's where they were later conquered by the Assyrians, and the remainder who were able to live intermarried with the local people. And they couldn't go to Jerusalem because they were not welcomed there because of the big civil war. And so they stayed up in the northern part, and they worshipped sacred poles.
Of course.
You all know I'm Polish, right? Okay, they worshipped the sacred poles, and their capital city was Samaria. So that's where the Samaritans come from, and the Jews hated them, had nothing in common with the Samaritans, because they blamed them for causing a civil war. Because of the civil war, they were weaker as a nation. They're divided among themselves, so other nations could conquer them, and now they're enslaved. So it's their fault that the Jews are enslaved. But also these Samaritans, they intermarried, and so that the purity of the lineage was totally marred because they were completely intermarried with the Gentiles, the Goyim, right? The unclean people. And besides that, because they never came down to Jerusalem to worship God, they were apostates. So those four things, they rejected the living God, and they worshipped sacred poles. Okay? And so the Jews, like as much as they hated the Gentiles, they hated the Samaritans worse. Right? And it seems to be that way, that whoever's closest to you, when they hurt you, that's who you turn against the most, right? That's who hurts you the most, the ones that can become closest to you. And so that's what it is. These are brothers, right? This is a family feud. And it's the Jews that refuse to allow the Samaritans back into the family. Okay? So she says, you know, why do you ask me for a drink? I'm a Samaritan. Jesus answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Now, we've heard of this living water before because of all the prophecies that have come from Jeremiah and Isaiah, right, about this living water. And now Jesus says he knows where this is. He knows how to give you this living water, and you should be asking him. Okay, he's got the source. She said to him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? You are not greater than our father Jacob, are you, who gave us the well and drank of it himself and his sons and his cattle? Jesus answered and said to her, Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I will give him shall never thirst. But the water that I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up to eternal life.